Hey, good morning, Mark. This is a quick demo video for you for your MHS Obiwan. This is installed with a CFX. This is something that you got off a secondhand market, and it was installed previously with a CFX. It just had a little bit different of a setup, so we switched some things around. All right, first thing that you could see is the clamp card. So you have a Graflex clamp card on here. This is the one you sent. I gave you the bubble strip. Something that I do with this bubble strip so that you can't see the switches underneath it, I actually take a piece of an aluminum can. This one was a bubbly, but you could do a soda can, beer can, whatever you want to do. But I cut a piece of aluminum strip and I put it underneath the bubble card because I have to sand it a little bit. And then since the bubble card is clear, I also don't want you being able to see your switches. So I put the reflective piece pointing up and then the bubble clamp, or the card rather, right over that piece so that it gives it that just matte look. Your power button is going to be in the back right here. It is a hard press on the switch, and then your upper piece is a hard press for your auxiliary. One thing you want to watch out for on this bubble card is that it was very thin, or not. It didn't have much width, not much more width than the two sides of the actual clamp that are holding it on. So if I could point it like that to you, and you look up there, if I can get my camera to focus, hopefully you can see what I'm talking about, right? We'll try to get closer. You can see like barely hanging on to the sides of that card because it just, if it was wider, it would have been a lot better. So if you get a wider card in the future, you can sand it down a little bit and throw it in there, and it will be fine. I have seen them around, mainly with like the Graflex 2.0 kits that you get from Corbanth. Those would have the wider bubble strip. So just be on the lookout for that. If you have issues with that in the future, you could swap it out for one of those, and they're usually pretty easy to find. You had asked for a lit Neopixel connector, so now you have a V4 Carl Chen lit connector. You had previously like an 11-pin TCSS one, so we went ahead and took that out, obviously. You had a removable chassis before and a speaker pod. So you had said you could just do away with it, or I could do away with all that, rather give you a recharge port, and I did away with the speaker pod. So what we do here is we just want to unscrew the pommel. There is a chassis retention screw, but it's located underneath this Graflex clamp card, so you'll never see it. It's about right here or so underneath the card. All right, holds the chassis in place. I made sure to tuck in that recharge port as far as I could, but still give you enough room, obviously, to plug in a charger. So you won't have any problems there. It butts up right up against there, but it does charge it. This is a normal 2.1 millimeter recharge port. I gave you a simple 3D printed kill. It's a kill key for now, but I made sure to give you plenty of room up here in case you wanted to get a custom one. Like you could go to, I think there's actually a place called the Kill Key Factory. They make some pretty nice ones. So if you wanted to get, one that had like a Rebel logo or a Jedi logo on it, you could put it in there. It worked the same, and you have plenty of height there. So on theirs, they come up just a little bit, but there's plenty of room there where that would work. All right, so that's what we did there. To get to your board, and it can be kind of hard to see, you will need a pair of tweezers to get to your SD card. All right, and if I can try to make this work. It's very strange. There, you can kind of see it right there. All right, so apologies for my camera work. You can take a pair of needle nose tweezers, which is what I did, and you can take it in and out of there. All right, so that's what you'll need to do there. You have a 28 millimeter Smuggler's Outpost dark side speaker. Now I noticed you had one of these before. I went ahead and I threw that one away. I typically do not use I don't reuse parts. All right, so I threw that one away. I gave you a brand new one. It's fully enclosed inside of the chassis, so it's going to sound really good, but it is part of the chassis, so no longer have a speaker pod. All right, so after all that, we're going to come in here and pull our kill key out of the recharge port.
Goodness, you're not one to trifle with, are you?
And then you can see that's a regular 2.1 millimeter recharge port. All right, so once we pull that kill key out, we'll go ahead, put your pummel back on. I did reuse your board though. Tested out your board, everything was fine. One thing I did find on your board, there is 4 pads for the negative line that goes to your Neopixel connector. You're supposed to bridge all 4 of those pads. You were using 2 of them. So I went ahead and I bridged all 4 and you're good to go. But when you put that pummel back on, you can lock it all the way down and come over here and hit power in the back.
Our guests have arrived. Let the negotiations begin.
You got your LEDs in there firing up. I didn't change anything to your board, so it has all the fonts that you had before. And of course, auxiliary is up here. And we'll just tap the power to turn it off.
There's never time to limber up.
All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll put a blade in it. This is set up for a 1-inch diameter Neopixel blade, so I kept your blade depth. It was a little bit of a challenge to get all of the components out of the Saber because on MHS parts sometimes, or like on this one in particular really, your Neopixel connector was down here in this part because normally these would unscrew, right? This diameter is a little bit bigger than 1 inch. You put a large Neopixel holder inside of here and then you screw this on. This is on pretty tight, plus this has been painted and I didn't want to unscrew that to ruin your paint. So I spent a lot of time actually just chipping that out until I got all the parts out. So we got that out of there. I didn't mess up your paint. I didn't unscrew anything. All right, but I did keep your blade depth. You have some pretty decent blade depth in there. Your Neopixel connector or your Neopixel blade plug still works. We'll go ahead and turn this on. I did switch it to a different sound font just to get rid of that pre-on. This is Shoto. Here is your Neopixel blade plug. As you can see, if I push down on that, it's making contact with the pins and it's lighting up. So your blade plug still works there, all right? We'll go ahead and take that out of there. So I'll put this back in your box, of course. And we've got your blade here, or this is my blade. It is still set up for a full-length blade. I just like using this test blade when I'm doing demos. So we did retain your blade retention screw, which is going to be right here. We'll come over here and hit power. Auxiliary. Now, of course, if you want blade lockup, you just hold down. Turn it off like that, turn it back on. Turn it off again. All right, so we'll go ahead and break this down real quick. Not much breaking down to do. You just want to take your blade out. CFX does have a deep sleep mode, but I find it's just good practice. When you're done, I would go ahead and put your kill key back in. All right, so we'll take this pummel off. Turn the Saber on. And we'll use the kill key actually to put it back in the recharge port and kill the power. You'll see it in the emitter. Turns everything off like it should, right? So that is basically your MHS Obiwan. Let me know if you have any questions and I will box this up and get a tracking number out to you today. Thanks, man.